On this episode of the Bliss Bean, we will be discussing journaling. So, buckle in for a wild ride of self-discovery and spiritual healing. Okay, I'm just kidding. One of the things that I want to actually clarify in this video is that journaling is for everyone, no matter what your religious or spiritual beliefs are. Everyone can find some benefit in journaling. And so in this video, I just aim to cover the basics of journaling. Also, another thing that's really helpful when you're starting out in journaling is having prompts to go off of. So I, being such a kind and thoughtful person, put together a worksheet of 50 journaling prompt ideas for you. And you can get that by going to the link in the description. But before you go to that, you should watch the rest of this video, because how are you going to use the prompts if you don't know how to journal? Okay, so journaling supplies. One way to journal is by using a notebook. And this little guy is what I'm currently using. So I basically just use whatever notebook I can get my hands on. If I do run out of notebooks and I don't have any spare ones to use, then I'll go out and buy one. And usually when I'm buying one, I will choose one that has like I don't know what this binding is called, but not a spiral notebook, because I feel like those just fall apart too easily. But just any kind of cheap notebook that has this kind of binding. In terms of writing utensils, I recommend using a pen. I actually learned today that pencil does not fade. For some reason, I thought that it fades over time, but I was wrong my entire life. But pencil can smear, and I just think that pen looks nicer. It's easier to read because it contrasts more. Whatever you end up using, I would say, one, make sure it doesn't bleed through the paper, and second, make sure that you can hold it for long periods of time. I also get a lot of questions about how I do calligraphy, and I don't do calligraphy in my journal. I keep my journal very bare bones, actually. But if you do want to make your journal a little more artistic, my best recommendation for brush pen calligraphy is the Tombow dual tip brush pens. I have them right here. I use calligraphy any chance that I get because I absolutely love writing with these pens. Aside from journaling in a paper notebook, you can also journal in a digital way, whether that is on your phone or on a computer. There are plenty of tools out there. I personally have only used Evernote, which is not specifically a journaling tool. It's like a note-taking app. Some other tools that are specifically for journaling that I've heard of are Day One, Memento, and Journey. I haven't tried any of those, but I'll link to them so that you can check them out for yourself. So your next question might be, what are the pros and cons of paper versus digital? Most people type faster than they handwrite, so you can get your thoughts out much faster. Digital journal entries also take up less space. I have a box that's full of old journals and I don't really know what to do with them. Theoretically, I guess I could scan them, but just thinking about that makes me want to throw up a little bit. So basically, I've just put that box in my closet and I'm not worrying about it at the moment. And another benefit of digital tools is that it makes it very easy to search and find for what you're looking for. So you can use things like tagging features, or you can even just search the text of what you wrote in your entries. Like if you remember a specific event but don't remember when it happened, you can literally search your entire journal like archive and find what it is you're looking for. The pros of paper are that most people handwrite slower than they type. And I know I mentioned that as a pro for digital tools as well, but there are two different ways to think of that. So with digital, you can get your thoughts out faster, but with paper, because you write slower, you have to think about your thoughts more, which I don't know, I think it kind of makes you like delve deeper into the journaling process. So handwriting can either be a pro or a con. It all depends on what you're looking for. With paper journaling, I also think that it's just really nice to be able to see your own handwriting. Like you have these physical artifacts where you recorded your own thoughts and memories using your own hands. That's not going to be a deciding factor for everyone, but I think it's like a little nice personal sentimental touch that might make the difference for you when you're choosing. And lastly, with paper journals, you can be more expressive and creative. It's much harder to incorporate things like doodles or mind maps when you're using a digital tool. You're kind of restricted basically to just typing and whatever formatting options your app allows you. With paper, you are open to anything that can be done with a piece of paper and a pen, basically. Okay, so the next topic is, how often should you journal? It's up to you. There's no right answer. I personally recommend journaling in the morning and in the evening because it helps you to get ready for the day and then to clear your mind before you go to bed. If you can't do both morning and evening, you can just pick one of those. And if you can't commit to daily journaling either, then you can just write whenever you feel like you need to write. Next, how should you label your journal entries? So the way that I do it is I will write the day of the week, the date, the time, and the day of my menstrual cycle. Now those first three probably made sense, and then the fourth one might have been like, The reason that I write the day of the cycle is because there are a lot of patterns you can notice if you pay attention throughout the month. And then if you go back, you can see how those stay consistent and how they change from month to month. It affects a lot. So yeah, those are the 4 things that I label each journal entry with. A couple more ideas, you might want to write down where you currently are. Like, are you journaling from your room or from a coffee shop? Or Are you traveling somewhere? You could summarize how you're feeling in 1 or 2 words. You could do a cute little weather tracker where you like draw a cloud and a sun and what temperature it is that day. Just anything that you think will help you as you look back at your entries. With a paper journal, you can just write this information at the top of the page, and then with a digital journal, you can also just write it in your entry, but a lot of tools also allow you to use tagging features. So like for example, when I used to use Evernote for journaling, I would create a tag for the day of my cycle, and then for example, I could click on the tag that says day 2, and then I could see every entry that I wrote on day 2 of my cycle and really like analyze those patterns. This might not sound interesting at all to you, but I'm kind of a data nerd, so this kind of stuff is like so exciting for me. Okay, so now you've got your journal, you have sat down to write in it, you have labeled what day it is, but what do you write about? My best advice is don't think about what to write about. Does that help? Basically, you can write about what you did, what was on your mind that day, what's still on your mind, what's worrying you, what ideas do you have, just anything that pops into your head. There is a very popular technique called morning pages from Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way, and basically she recommends every morning as soon as you wake up, journaling 3 full pages of handwritten, just stream of consciousness writing. So I would start like that. Just don't censor yourself at all, write whatever comes to mind. As you do that, you might start to notice like what kinds of topics you tend to gravitate towards in journaling. One recommendation I have is don't feel pressure to always recap your day in your journal entry. When I journal, I very often omit some pretty big things that happen in my life just because I don't feel like retelling those stories. So don't worry too much about that, because those big memories, you're gonna have photos and videos of them, you're gonna have them in your head. You don't also have to have them in your journal. The world will not end if you don't write about every single thing that happened in your life. Okay, so once you've gotten down a couple of entries in your journal, the next question is, how do you review, or should you even review what you write in your journal? It's up to you whether you choose to look back at what you write. I think looking back into what your mind was thinking about in the past can give you some really valuable insights, but you might also just want to get your thoughts out of your head and onto paper and never look at them again, and that's also fine. If you do want to review, the way that I do it is at the end of each week on Sunday, I will go through that week's journal entries and just highlight anything that seems important, and then I'll take notes on little post-its of what went well that week and what I could have improved on that week, and that helps me to plan better for the upcoming week. I do have a more detailed weekly planning video if you're interested in learning more about that technique. So now I want to give some tips for actually making sure that you keep up with journaling. So as I mentioned before, don't feel pressure to do it a certain way. Write whatever length and whatever style works for you. Another way to make sure that you continue with this habit is to actually add it to your habit tracker. Personally, I don't track journaling as a habit anymore because I track my morning and bedtime routines as habits, and journaling has become like such an integral part of those routines that if I did my morning and bedtime routine, then I automatically journal, you know? But if journaling is a new habit for you, then I would encourage you to track it just to make sure that you're not skipping on it. And then the last thing is, make this an enjoyable experience for yourself. So whatever you need, whether that is fun pens or a pretty notebook or stickers, everyone loves stickers. Set yourself up to make this an enjoyable experience for you. Do everything in your power to make sure that it doesn't feel like a chore. It should feel like a nice and relaxing way to start and end your day. Before I end the video, I just want to mention a couple of different types of journals that you might be interested in depending on what you're looking to get out of journaling and the amount of time that you can dedicate to it. So one thing is there's this type of journal called a 5-minute journal. They sell both physical copies and there's also an app version. So if you're crunched for time, I think that's a really good way to get like the most benefits in the shortest amount of time. Another thing is if you're journaling primarily to record your memories, I don't even know if this counts as a journal, but I just thought I would mention it. There's this thing called the 1 second a day video where you record a 1-second clip of your life every day and then you stitch it together into this long video that you have of your life. So yeah, those are 2 things to check out if you're not sure if you have the time for like regular journaling. And now I'm just going to mention my worksheet one more time. As I mentioned at the start of the video, I put together these 50 different journaling prompts that you can use to get you inspired, to give you ideas for what to write about. All of these are pretty like reflective and introspective. They're meant for self-discovery basically. You can just print it out and use it as a list, or you can also cut each of the individual prompts out and make a little journaling jar where you can pull one out and just surprise yourself with what you're going to write about that day. So yeah, the link to that blog posted worksheet is in the description if you want it, and I hope you found this video helpful. And if you did, please give the video a like and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. I will see you next week. Bye!